Hello, it's just David here with my weekly email. Um, as you watch this, we'll probably be heading fairly quickly towards the uh, Queen's Jubilee, her Platinum Jubilee, an extraordinary thing. The longest reigning monarch who's now been on the throne for 70 years. What an extraordinary life, an extraordinary person, an extraordinary story of service to this country. Um, it's so difficult to sort of, I don't know, give enough superlatives in a way. I think whatever you think about sort of the monarchy in general, there's no doubt that this particular queen, as a person, has given outstanding service to this country and to the Commonwealth, and very much inspired by a deep Christian faith. I think there's no doubt about any of those things. As I say, whatever your kind of political allegiances. I can't remember what it is. It's something like 80% of this country now have no memory of any other monarch. You know, well, I and most people have lived entirely within the reign of Elizabeth II. And as I think of her now, still carrying out some duties. I mean, obviously she's cut back, but I mean, I'm just coming up to sort of 30 years of ordination. Um, she's done 30 years since being 65, which is normally the time people would retire, and I just think it's extraordinary. So very much something to celebrate. I know various villages and things are doing things to celebrate. I think Saturday in Welland there's a sort of street party down the Connecticut Road, and various one or two other places. I think on there's the Walmer Green Village Day on the Sunday, and then on the Sunday here in Welland we're going to do a bit with our church. We'll do some cream teas and a sing along and some bell ringing and a quiz and that on the Sunday afternoon. 3 to 5. So do come along to that. And both those services in the morning, really all our churches obviously will have a flavour of Jubilee and Thanksgiving for 70 years. I wanted just to sort of say a little bit about the word Jubilee, really, because it's a biblical word. It's Yabal is the sort of original Hebrew word, and it has an interesting sort of source, really. I don't know about you. I listen to the financial news, and I don't really understand it. I'm not an economist, and I mean, obviously, I know if things are going well or going badly. At the moment, it seems to be going quite badly. But there are sometimes people talk about things, and you don't know what they mean, but you kind of know that they're good or bad. So one of the things that people talk about is liquidity. Now, I don't really know what that is. I think it's something to do with sort of money flowing, and there being kind of quite a lot of money sloshing around. And it's good, isn't it? It's good to have lots of liquidity. Yeah, and I think it's the metaphor. Yes, I mean the sloshing around gives it away. Really, it's a sort of metaphor that says money is like a sort of river or fluid or whatever, and it's sort of moving around. The reason I say that is that that's the idea behind the Hebrew word Jubilee Rabal, which was used as a sort of term. It means where something is kind of flows and mixes together and becomes saturated by that flow. And it probably is quite close to the term liquidity. And it does, of course, have an economic meaning in Hebrew, because it's usually attached to the idea of the year of Jubilee. It's also the word used for the ram's horn, though that's it's not directly related. I mean, actually, it's just down to the fact that horns go in front of the ram, and so if you like, the ram flows after the horn. But back to the idea of the year of Jubilee. If you haven't come across this, it was a term sort of used in 2000 when many people were trying to sort of look at the sort of debt burden which was given to many sort of developing countries, which meant, actually, however hard they tried to develop, they couldn't because of the sort of massive amounts of money they were paying in interest on loans, which were kind of just stacking up and up and up. And the idea of Jubilee was that there were you had a sort of a Sabbath year, a seventh year, a year of Jubilee. And then you have a sort of Sabbath of Sabbaths, which was every sort of 49 years, the year of Jubilee. And I mean, a lot of things were then let off. And one of the ideas was that you would safeguard against the debts building up, because debts would be, would be let go, would be redeemed. And, property would, or indeed, slaves would be given their freedom, property would be reverting to its sort of original owners. Now, obviously, this has quite a lot of problems associated with it. It's one of the debates as to where, how people actually carried out the sort of year of Jubilee, because I mean, it's not difficult to find out that, if you took out a big bank loan in year 48, you might just have an eye that the next year all bank loans are being let go, and therefore perhaps not many people want to lend you the money at that point. So there's a kind of argument, which again, it's slightly beyond me, about how actually it did work in practice. But it is this idea of sort of liberty and economic liberty, and liberty meaning that you're free from certain things. So that you are free from being a slave, that you are free from unsurmountable debt, and that you are free, that if you've had to kind of sell land or property in order to kind of survive, then actually you retain it. And when we think of the Queen as the head of constitutional monarchy, I think one of the things we're celebrating, aren't we, is liberty. Our system is not perfect. We know that, and we quite often think of the words of Winston Churchill, I think it is, who said, democracy is the worst of all systems apart from all the rest. I mean, in the end, slightly by accident. I mean, this is the thing about the British Constitution. You'd never sort of sit down and write it. However, because it's kind of organically grown over time, we do have, we are lucky. There's no doubt about it. Of course, it's not perfect, but, we are lucky that we live in a democracy, that we have certain freedoms, and those are things which, in a sense, I think, a constitutional monarchy does help to guard, and I think that's important. And I think, we are celebrating, our freedom, our liberty, the good things about living in this country, which are very, very many. Sometimes in all the rather bad headlines, of course, we forget that. And that's not to excuse any of the sort of bad behaviour of some of those in power who've abused that on all sides over the Queen's reign. But it is to say that, we do enjoy freedoms and privileges, and also we need to cherish them. The Queen, if you like, stands as a sort of symbol for the entire nation. And as we remember her and give thanks for her reign, so we think of, the way that we have to kind of, maintain that and work at it. It's not, it's not something we should take for granted. It's not, guaranteed that, human society will be like that, because most human societies aren't and haven't been. We constantly need to be to be vigilant to make sure that our freedoms are maintained, that we have liberty, and that people aren't put in situations where they just have to take on unsurmountable debt. You know, they're forced into it, and there's lots of situations at the moment where you can see there are very few choices for people who are poor, and I think, you know, we've got to think about that of a society of how we deal with that. There are no easy answers, but that idea of the of Yabal, the year of the Lord's Jubilee, I think is one way of at least making us think about these things when we think of the very special Jubilee that the Queen is having, and the celebrations which will occur in a couple of months, a couple of weeks time. Thank you.